listen to it or whatever, and you don't feel like it's been a lot of things caught in real time, that can happen too, but you never know what I'm going to find in the morning, even through my spot checks. Right. So I'm going to assign devices out. As you get your device, you're going to have questions, I promise. Hang on to those questions for me. It kind of allows me to get through this intro, because at the next stop, it's more of a one-on-one, hands-on experience, so that way you can get those questions answered. I usually answer all of the common questions between here and the first stop. So the first thing I'm going to be using is thermal imaging. Why would I want thermal imaging in a ghost hunt? They register how then? Cold, right. We're looking for cold spots. Literal cold spots. So this is yeah, blue and black. You're getting ahead of me, Jimmy. Slow down, man. Jeez, man. So obviously I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy. If you were a bridal party, I would be the hottest thing inside the picture. Aha, there's the chuckle as you guys waited for it. So blue and black is what we're looking for. Literally, they're either going to take shape or they're going to start moving on their own. Just the other night, I want to say it was Saturday night, I actually watched something drop by 31 degrees and then go right back warm again. Pretty crazy stuff. And it was over a 30-second time frame. It sounds like, a pretty short amount of time to you, but that's a long time. Normally things are super quick, so you just have to catch them real fast. This was 30 seconds worth. Like, it was craziness. But anyway, there's a blue dot on this screen as well. You can probably see it bouncing around. It is giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. I have it set up that way on purpose, so when you get your video back, you have a little bit of an aid to help you watch for those cold spots. So again, this is a very interesting device. Will we capture something every single night with this? Not necessarily, but again, if we're not recording, we won't capture it. It's just kind of how it works. So, Jimmy, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. So you already kind of have a good gist on how it's working, so I'm going to, at least you knew, hey, it's going to looking for blue spots. You're going to go ahead and take that from me. You're going to hold it horizontal all night long. Nope, you want to look at the screen. There you go. Now you're there, perfect. So the camera is right up behind your left hand. There you go, perfect. So it is a cell phone, treated as such. Again, it's a construction phone. It can take a little bit of beating, and in case you happen to drop it, everybody worries about it. But you're going to keep it horizontal. We are going to do a few starts and stops. As great as that FLIR camera is, the software for it sucks. If we record for too long, we'll lose all footage. So I'll be giving you the cues to actually start and stop it. Right now you are recording. I do start the recording right away so everybody knows how to watch it when you get your video back. So I just place all the videos together so that way you guys can have one video to watch for each type of camera. This crazy looking doodad, Steve's like, what the hell did we sign up for? I could just feel the glares. Perfect. Alright, so should not be able to see me in that camera. Not unlike the thermal imaging, I know it's a very small screen. It should be pretty black in there.
Yeah.
Let's turn on some lights.
Oh yeah.
Should be a whole purple screen right now. We're working with infrared lighting, full spectrum lighting. So this is light we cannot see with our own eyes. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we would not be able to see with our own eyes. I just illuminated 10 different lights, 4 at the top, 4 on the small camera itself, and then 2 additionals on the side. So that way we have a full purple screen. And again, we're looking for things that normally would not be able to reflect light. Obviously, orbs are going to be one of those things. Normally when I have a larger group, I break out lasers with this as well because they light it up like a Christmas tree and it's beautiful. So if we can actually capture motion. However, I want to stick to the things that are going to record. So Joseph, we're going to go with you on this guy. We're not going to start recording just yet. I will tell you when we're going to start recording. It is a GoPro, it is heavy, so again, it's a little rugged. I built it that way, so we can take some abuse. Don't be afraid of it. Let's get into spirit boxes. Spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. Isn't that a wonderful, wonderful thing when you can actually talk to them and get a response? Can you guys believe I do this for a living? Like,
that's awesome.
Right.
So spirit boxes are. You guys watch the television shows? Like,
yeah.
Is that why most of you were here?
You wanted to heavily watch all the shows since I was a little girl.
What's going on? This guy stop already. It's not cool. So spirit boxes. This is basically the white noise machine, right? So this is just going to give us white noise and static, and basically. Your TV shows will give you whatever garbage they think they heard in the middle of it and then put it up in the middle of the screen to try to convince you of the same thing. There's other methods you can use for these specific type of spirit boxes. those rarities that they're showing you on television, most of them are going to be garbage. They have to tell you what it says, for one thing. And second, those are rare. I only capture about 4 to 6 of those per year, where they're actually disembodied voices. I have this one slowed down. What is that going to do for us? It's going to allow the radio chatter to come through. So DJs, song lyrics, commercials, that's what we're listening for. So if you can hear "Buy a Kia Today," I want to know that you heard "Buy a Kia Today." You seem super excited about this one, so this one's going to be assigned to you.
Oh man.
Sorry, I'm not just, it's just, I normally try to go like right down the middle, like each person, so that way everybody's not sitting around. But anyway, you're going to have an earbud in, so you're going to be the only one to hear this in real time. However, it is recording. So you guys will all get the recording back tomorrow morning. I'll be writing down what Ashley hears in real time. On top of me spot checking it tomorrow, you'll have about 15 to 25 more markers on top of what I captured. So again, whatever you hear in real time, plus mine, hopefully, and then that'll get you have the whole recording. You cannot mess up the recording because it's not recording any outside noise, and you can mess with the volume all you want to, whatever makes you comfortable. Most people just use one earbud. I don't want them back because your earwax is gross. You get to keep that. So I buy them in bulk. See, Steve's like, this guy's funny. This shit's supposed to be scary. So the volume button for you is right here. It's a wheel. So
Okay.
just don't hit the button. You'll shut it off, and you'll have to undo the twist tie from your earbud.
Okay.
The next spirit box. I like to use several different types.
Yeah.
So spirit boxes, this one is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. If you guys watch the TV shows, this is known as an ovulus. Okay, so the ovulus that you guys see on TV that's built for ghost hunting only has 2,048 terms in it. This has 9,168, almost 4 times the amount. It's crazy. So here's what I'm going to tell you. This is a phone app. It's meant to be a game and a hoax. Most of this, what we're going to see tonight, is going to be bullshit. It's not going to mean anything. 80%, to be a matter of fact. Again, most of the time I'm going to say, yeah, no, that's going to be not enough for me to be convinced that it's actually coming from a ghost. It's meant to generate a word from time to time, sometimes super, super fast. The cool thing is that it saves all of these terms into a list. So all of those words actually have a timestamp on them, so it helps me, like if something actually does come through to one of these locations, where to watch the video, where to listen to the other spirit box, see if I can put a full sentence together. Are we getting a full message among different types of devices? I'm going to clear out the last tour. They had over 70 terms. So with this, I don't want to see every single term that pops up, Lynn. I will come to you when I want to see the list. Otherwise, we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning. Because again, normally we get about 75 to 100 terms. Just depends. Let's see. Oh, no. Oh, no. Ah, didn't mean to flash it. Alright, so this is what we call a millimeter. For those of you that watch the TV shows, you guys have probably seen these little Tinker toys, right? I normally save these for the little guys on the tour, right? All they got to do is tell me what color they saw. I already have the measurements memorized. This is going to be way more accurate. This is called a millimeter. It's going to measure electromagnetic fields. So, Steve, anything above 2.5 on the top number, I want to know what's going on. I want to be able to debunk things first. So again, 2.5 is the second green dot on that device I just threw back in my bag. That's why that's kind of the barometer. The bottom number is ambient temperature. Jimmy finds something on his camera. You and I can debunk it if it's an actual cold spot or if it's coming from something man-made by this probe right here at the top. The last thing that it has is it has a motion sensor. We don't use this at every location, but it can come in handy. If anything gets close to the antenna, it will go off. I am not touching it right now. The closer it gets, obviously the higher the pitch, and there's different colors in there. So we'll talk more about that at the first location. I'm going to shut it off for now. All you got to do is focus on the red screen for me. 2.5 and higher. Nice and easy.
Okay, I've been recording for almost 10 minutes.
I know.
Okay.
We're going to go probably a good 45. Lisa.
I didn't want you to slap me 30 minutes into it and say, damn, why did you cut it off?
That's funny. You get my brand new device other than the new Phasm Cam, which just came in about 2 weeks ago. This guy is very, very interesting. So this is a spirit box, but it is going to sweep through both FM and AM at the same time and try to take out the white noise that Ashley's hearing. It's only going to give us about 12 to 15 terms tonight. 75% of those are going to be accurate to our location. Part of the reason why I'm giving this one to you is because it doesn't record. Jimmy's camera does. So in the event you missed something, you'll still have the recording on the audio of the camera. So again, I'm going to show you, the only button you need to worry about is the mute button because it's open air. So I'm going to go ahead and mute it. So if your blinking lights are at the top, on the right-hand side, there's only one button. You just tap it and it mutes it. I'll say where it's going to be safe to mute and unmute. Obviously, when I'm talking about history, I'm going to say, let's go ahead and mute that so I can stay focused. And the same thing if we have that REM pod, that motion sensor on, I'll say, let's shut it off. But we'll get into that
right
a little bit later. Yep, there's only one there. All right, guys, go have fun. Let me know what happens. No. You know what's funny is I just did, I broke everything down to see what this kit actually costs, because I have all these upgrades. And of course, I'll end up hiring another guide or two of somebody I can actually trust to go to different locations. That way I kind of know it was very surprising. I thought it was actually going to be a whole lot more, to be honest with you, because these are a lot of bigger upgrades. So again, it's only about $2,500 that I have in this total. Not to mention the maintenance of it, so there's maintenance too. But overall, the basic of the devices, it was $2,500 because there's more in the bag, of course. So anyway, not to brag about how much money I spend on my business.
So I don't have to do anything right now.
Nope.
So how do I know when something comes? You said it doesn't record.
Does not record. You'll hear it. You will hear it when we unmute it. It's going to give you little spurts from time to time. The hope is that we're going to capture about 12 to 15 words tonight.
Okay.
Or phrases, who knows? Because that thing hasn't really given us a lot of phrases, but we do get a lot of singular words. So it's very interesting.
Okay.
I love that device. It's a lot of fun. So, what do you think, Ashley? We're going to capture some ghosts?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about why we started here first. We can't go anywhere yet. Look at Ashley trying to push us along, everybody. So, Big John's behind me. It's closed on Mondays, so it's not really closed. But anyway, you can see on the wall that it says established in 1955. But I'm here to tell you that this is a renovation of Big John's. This just opened up last year. So, it used to be called Big John's, and it was named after a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Imagine that. He owned it. It was his bar. He used to sit in the back of the bar. You guys are going to make me talk tonight, aren't you? I need some water. Isn't it my job to talk, Jimmy? I'm pretty sure it is. Look at me remembering names. Wow. This is going to be easy night. Most of you have 1 to 2 syllable names. This should be pretty easy for me. It's when I get the Genevieves and the, all those kind of multi-syllables. But anyway, back to Big John. So Big John used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel that way were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in. They're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer. He gets up and he just starts pounding these guys into the floor, just beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him. John gets up. He's the only one that's been shot. He goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor an ambulance. Irony of the story is that you normally think of a haunted building and somebody died there or some tragic whatever. But this was just his place. The bullet hole is allegedly still here. So even if it has been filled in from the new renovation, then John's blood is still here. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning from me directly. If any of you feel any of those things tonight, I need to know immediately. It's a very big deal. It's all about safety first. That way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. I won't say that I haven't had to call paramedics or get somebody to a safer place. So that's probably the scariest, scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long. So let's move on, shall we? Yeah, Joseph.
You want me to start recording soon? What do you want me to do?
I'll let you know. I'm pretty good with cues. Don't worry. I got you covered. I do this every night. I think I know what I'm doing yet. It's the first word he said to me all night long, and he's asking me for more directions. It's hilarious. So, let's not talk about our own health. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. Have you guys been taking other tours in Charleston in general?
This is my first time here.
Okay, well, every historical anything in Charleston will tell you about our big earthquake because it's an anomaly for us because this is the East Coast. We're not supposed to have earthquakes. Sorry, I have a tickle. Heavy smoker. Sorry, guys. Ooh, I smoke a pipe before every tour. Just so in case I have a bunch of non-smoking people, I'm good. Tobacco. Actual tobacco. You really think I'd be talking this fast if I just smoked another kind of pipe? Man, I'm not that good. So, yeah, I would seem like I was talking fast, but to you guys, you're like, this guy's really not talking that fast. But anyway, big earthquake. Is that where I was? Yes.
Yep.
So this is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. Here I am laughing about the first death. Look at me go. You guys got me cracking up. a piece of the mantle that you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front on the East Bay side. They say a piece of it broke off during the earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And that you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say apparently and allegedly a lot because I don't have any proof of that story. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just mentioned it again. So yes, that was a joke. Y'all were supposed to laugh. Not kidding. So, anyways, everybody ready to go ghost hunting? Jimmy's ready. He's like, I've been
I'm
stiff.
locked in, man.
Yeah.
I know where the coolest place on this street is.
Literally, the coolest places. Let's go this way.
Get off the sleeves. 4 5.
So, welcome to the Big Red Barn lot. Notice my voice dropped a little bit because this is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. We're not going to stay here long. Again, when I have 10 people, this is where I get to show 10 people how to use 10 different styles of devices. So, the history here is very short. I made it that way on purpose, just so that we can get right to it. This is the same red barn that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston, 1860s to 1920s. That's all I got. Every time I give you a history of a location, I do my best to slow down and give you the key words in slowed down format. So over there, it would have been 47, New York, Giants, John, and anything relatable to a bar. Over here, it's obviously delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. Let's talk about spirit boxes. How many we got in play tonight? 3. So, spirit boxes, this is not a Ouija board, this is not television, this is not, is somebody here? Because if Ashley hears no, that means somebody's here. So, we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. I will always give you impromptu questions. Feel free to use them. However, if you're going to go rogue with your questions, I would say just make sure it's something you can actually prove. I can't prove feelings on anybody, just so you know. So in a space like this, I would say just to get used to your devices, ask questions you know the answers to. Like, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red. So, but you two are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages. The word red might not be available to them to be able to answer you right away. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer, only because it's actually happened. However, most of the night I'm going to require that at least 2 things are going on with 2 different devices, possibly, to verify what's going on. For example, let's say Lynn has the word art on her word list, and Lisa hears the number 40 come out of her spirit box. Individually, those 2 terms don't mean anything. Put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you guys see we're going to have to put these clues together throughout the night? Mm-hmm. So a lot of these stories tonight are from the 17 and 1800s. These people all have the same damn names. Georges, Charles, Eliza. Like, again, we need to know who the hell we're talking to. Otherwise, it's just going to be some rando named John. You know, that's the way it goes. Even if we get the name... Damn, that tickled. Man, that's a bad batch of tobacco. So, I need to change that one up. But, I mean, again, John's jersey number, I mean, John is a pretty common name, obviously. So we need to know which John we're dealing with. I think you have a pretty good...
You say if I see something odd, let you know.
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay, a big red spot came on the screen. Okay. A lot bigger than you.
A lot bigger than me?
Yeah.
Was it because I moved out of the way?
No, it was on the left. You were on the right, it was on the left.
Interesting. So the law of thermodynamics, yes, I'm a scientist too, apparently, basically states that when a cold spot is generating, something else nearby is obviously gaining a temperature. Because temperature isn't created, it fluctuates. So just kind of think if something's getting colder down here, that means something has to get warmer over here to kind of balance things out. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I look for heat signatures like that. However, I don't usually get into the crazy nerdo, science-y end of things until something like that is actually caught. So we're recording, so we'll definitely check it out. It's probably his finger. That's okay. His hand's right there. But I'll definitely take a look at it for sure.
No.
It wasn't your
it
finger?
It wasn't my finger.
Okay.
I checked that.
Verify. It's not his finger. Love it, love it, love it. You guys are like really in tune with this. I love it. So, let's see. Let's talk about those cameras. So, Jimmy, let's start with yours first because you got yours first. You're going to try to do 2 things for us. First off, both cameras, kind of keep in mind, we're going to be in spaces where, again, the other ghost tours won't go to, so there might be some parked cars, hence why we're here. And people walking by, they don't like to be filmed, and people don't like their cars to be filmed. If I do like an Andy's Coming from Toy Story, you know, you're gonna basically point your camera directly at the ground, and obviously you're just holding a cell phone, so it's much easier to hide. People don't know what we're doing out here anyway. Just don't act like a crazy YouTuber. We'll be just fine. But with your camera, you're gonna try to keep one of us in view. The reason being is because we're gonna be the warmest things out here. It's only about 69 to 70 degrees out here. Average. So with our 97 to 99 degree temperature, by the way, if Ashley gets 101, let me know so I can boot her off the tour and she can go home and feel better. She's not even paying attention. Look at her. She's so focused on her spirit box. But anyway, it gives us that array of color in the screen. It's much easier to find those cold spots when there's an array of color versus just all one color. You're also going to try to keep the sky out to view. I know that that's going to be impossible in some areas, but the reason I ask for that is because the blue dot that's bouncing on the screen automatically defaults to the sky because there's no surface. So it's looking for something obviously tangible to be able to measure. So again, do your best. Your camera, you're all about GoProing it at this point. I mean, the two of you should be sticking together. If you want to listen in at the same time, it's another reason why I gave her that spirit box and said only use one earbud. But basically, you're going to be doing nice slow movements. That thing has been amazing so far. I have never seen so many orbs through any other camera other than this particular camera that you're holding. Again, it's only because we have so many lights that are illuminated on it. I do want to point out one thing. There are two switches right here. The bottom one, just so you don't get blinded, is night vision. We don't use night vision because it just raises attention from the other tours when we're down here. They already don't like me because I take all their business. We don't need to, hey, that guy, what's he got you doing now? That's the kind of mentality that they'll have if they start seeing those extra lights. And again, it takes away from the actual IR lighting that we're trying to do out here, just so you know. We're going to talk more about your REM pod at the next spot. Have you had any readings yet?
No, I keep saying 0, 0.
0 zeros. All right. I say we go deep dive into much further history than football players and ponies. What do you think?
Good.
All right, let's do it. We're going to go to the next spot. And how's your word list coming?
Starting to type it was I'm still on mute. Do I need to?
You can unmute it first until we get to the next page, just so you can get used to listening to it.
They walk faster we do.
Also tell you, Lisa was asking like how, you know, susceptible people might be to, you know, the tours and whatnot. Weekdays are the best days to do this. Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes it's a stretch because it's so busy down here. You know, it's just, we're running into people and it's crazy. But anyway, welcome to a parking lot. So Joseph, if you don't know where to park by the time I'm done with you, I don't know how to help you then. So, this place used to be something, obviously, right? I'm not just gonna take you to some random parking lot. This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion site. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there. That's the back of it, and came all the way across. And we are all standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So I always like to give the layout of the land because all those things are obviously important. So who the heck were these people? Well, let me stop there. Spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You will take the spirit boxes. I will record information on purpose so that you all have a genuine experience. Is that fair? Again, not about to fix stuff up here. Here's how things went down. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. So that's 3 different Charleses. You all see why I need those secondary clues? The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us here in South Carolina. However, I hate politics more than you do. Let's move on. So, if they don't bring it up, something else will. It's just putting it out there. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, don't expect 12 and 14 to come through your spirit boxes. Today's standards. I bring this up because Charles was over double her age when they married. It's a pretty big age gap back in colonial times, just so you guys know. But anyway, she married him because her father over in England was dying. He wanted to see all of his children one last time, so he's trying to bring Eliza home from the New World. She didn't think he was dying right away, so she decided she's going to stay put. It's 1744. She didn't marry Charles for a green card or citizenship. We're not even a country. So basically, she married him out of love. And the father first did happen. Charles dedicated that to the second gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the term indigo somewhere. Those plant seeds make blue dye that make up blue jeans blue. A lot of you are wearing it tonight, and that's how they students did it. And I started breaking it. She got them, she didn't know what to do with those plant seeds. She had known from her slaves. Obviously not one woman. She moved into it once she figured it out, by the way. She moved into a plantation and over here. She gets a hold of her father and says the race plantations are going downhill. They can't kill any of the underground. Not wrong. They did. Now we're having international business women during colonial times. That's her business. Let's get into the weird shit because that's why you all are here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back to back from Charles. Really smart or really stupid, depending on how you look at it, fellas. Just putting it out there. So, ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. If you want to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask the maiden name. The mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it. If you get an answer, obviously you can ask what year that happened. We're looking for specifics, obviously. Without a specifics, we're going to discount it as not evidence.
Am I supposed to tell you when this thing goes way up?
Yeah, we've got it.
I'm up to 14.
Ooh, that's good. I'm going to write that down. I keep track of that, you know, through my notebook, so that way you guys get the readings tomorrow morning. Before we move further into questions, to give everybody perspective on what those readings mean, behind your television set, you all have a bunch of wires, right? That's about 40 to 60 milligauss, based on the units of measure that we're using with this device. Your microwave running on high with the door shut and you standing next to it is about 150 to 170 milligauss, based on what wattage you have on your microwave. So in this space is the highest reading I've ever seen on that device. It just showed up a few weeks ago. It went all the way to 214. Wow. Craziness. Just like that. And I was standing right next to the gentleman using it, saw it for myself, but I had to step away. I have epilepsy, so things like that actually influence my brain when they go that high. I have to be very, very careful. So again, headaches will come on very, very quickly. I actually stood about 15 to 20 feet away from him, and I say, just stand here. I want to know if it comes back. Let me know if you're feeling anything. Are you doing okay? His safety was first, obviously, but yeah, highest one I've ever seen in this space, believe it or not. Back to our question. Where was I? I already talked about the mansion, right? The children. I told you one. His name was Charles, right? Signer of the Constitution guy. There's more. You can ask how many and what their names are, and that's it. Reason being is there was a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including a little bit of milligauss that we're getting so far. Just so you guys know, don't poke the bear. I will know. All activity will stop. Let's see. Eliza's death is where she's really open. So you can ask her how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. If that doesn't tell you how important this young lady was, I don't know what will. We're going to spread out in this lot, stay within the confined walls. I'm going to be working with Steve first to show him how to use that motion sensor, but we're not going to go near any vehicles. Luckily enough, there's only 3 in here tonight, which is really nice. We actually have a lot of space to work with. Do not go in between or in front of people's vehicles. They get a little weirded out. One of these cars likes to put a clown in the passenger seat, so don't be freaked out if you see a clown. Alright, so let's spread out. Your record button is the circle. It's the other two record buttons. Start that out, and then we'll tap it, and then see what happens. Oh yeah, crank that thing up. Let me know what you hear. I'll bounce around with you guys. I'm going to catch up with Steve and show him how to use that. Definitely get you unmuted. And
What am I listening for?
words, answers, just words. I mean, if you want something easy, ask what happened to the mansion. Let's start there. Oh yeah, like all those questions I gave you, like you're gonna be asking them out loud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a ghost town here. You're gonna be working. That's what you guys said. You guys paid me to go to work. That's how that works. All right, Steve, let's show you that.
What was her name, Liza? Lee. It's something right over there that's going down to 27 degrees. Something right there about those line of posts. It's going down to 27 degrees. See that cold blue dot there in the center? 32 degrees, 27 degrees.
Looks like it's getting bigger. It's just a cold dot.
Huh? But there's nothing there. You don't see anything. But that light over yonder is your warm spot.
You're supposed to try to keep the sky out of it.
But the blue dot's not going to the sky. See that? 30 degrees.
The blue dot was just in the sky.
Right, look at it now.
Yeah, but you got other spots here too. There.
But that's the coldest one.
Last stop we could go to, we were discussing pirates, and I think it was the second or third night that I was using it. The word pirate came loud and clear. All of us heard it, and it showed up on that recording. So they had a nice piece of evidence back after it. It was a really nice piece. And again, who the hell is saying the word pirate on the radio? Just saying.
Neat. That sign laying on the ground over there
Yeah.
showed up like 27 degrees in here. It went down as low as 15 degrees.
It's metal, right?
Yeah. It's the one laying down.
I'm gonna go check it out. Let me see what I got going on.
I mean, I was thinking somebody had a cooler right here or something, but
That's not 15 degrees.
huh?
I mean, it's not 15 degrees. I would say it's probably about 40 to 45 degrees.
No, it went as low as 15. It went 27, 32.
I can see it now. Your fingers anyway, just so you know. There you go. Yeah, get right on top of it, because right now it's reading negatives. And it's saying, what's it saying the ground next to it is? Go ahead and move your camera. Perfect. So it's saying the ground
60.
60. That seems a little low.
When I go back on it, it's -8.
Yeah, that's crazy. So go ahead, I want to stop the video. And we're going to start it back up again. It's still saying negatives? Sure looks like it, doesn't it? Yep, still pretty low. Interesting. Sometimes it just needs a time
That's
to
the coldest thing I've seen yet.
Yeah. But at least we know what it is. It's definitely a sign.
He told me he wants me to stay near you so that your device will record whatever comes over here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you ask questions?
You've got the sky in it. So.
That's the cool part.
Liza, what happened to your home? What happened to the mansion? What did it say?
I don't know. Ask again.
What president was all there at your funeral?
I'm gonna follow up with Lynn and then probably pull us all back here to get you guys the answers. We're gonna leave your video going, but we're gonna stop yours for sure. So you want to hit the red recording again. We want to shut it off. Let's give it. Let's kind of give it a break.
Yeah. We'll wobble
sounded like my name, didn't it?
Yeah, I heard it back there before too.
You heard it like on the way here?
No, in the parking lot. I thought I heard somebody say me.
That's not surprising. My name shows up pretty much everywhere. It's not like they don't know me. Have you guys heard anything along the way
Nothing that I could.
other than my name again just now? So normally, I was trying something a little bit new. I normally have you guys listening for names along the way, but I was going to try to not tell you that on purpose. So see what actually just popped up out of the norm since we're out of the loop. When we crossed that last crosswalk, we actually stepped over into the original Charlestown walls. That last crosswalk is where the wall used to be. It went up Cumberland Street, which we're going to go to that here in just a moment. But Cumberland Street is where the wall stood. This is one of the first streets we ever had. That's why I like to bring you guys down here. Not to mention, some of the other tours don't come down here. So again, I've actually got the actual history of the place, which is why we come here. What's the last couple of terms that showed up on your word list?
Came down in here, driveway. Design, new lesson.
Okay.
That was built for windows. Mobile suggestion.
Okay. So we'll see if anything actually triggers with you. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. These two giant buildings obviously weren't here, little tiny shotgun houses. So the names I commonly hear every 6 to 7 weeks, Benjamin and John. So again, sound like two very common names. And when I say people live down here, I'm only talking like 2 to 6 people live down here at a time. Benjamin and John both lived down here in 1801. However, there were 4 different Johns that lived here in a 60-year time span. So he'll give us his last name, Johnson. Yes, his name is John Johnson. So it's very funny, but it's just the way it comes up. And it's a legitimate thing. That was his real name. Do I have anything significant about 1801? No. I just have a really good theory on why I keep getting the same names over and over and over again. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These blocks are made straight from granite. You guys all watch the TV shows. You've heard the term limestone before. Limestone is said to stir up activity because it comes straight from the earth. So does granite, especially when it's been sitting in the same spot for a couple of hundred years. They say it actually hangs on to the consciousness of memories. It stirs things up. It kind of plays it over and over again on a loop, which is why I keep getting the same names over and over and over again. They did find some of their tools and silverware during an archaeological dig, and they classified these people as lower class. It makes sense because the other side of that Charlestown wall was down the street, like on East Bay, across from where we were, and the smell of low tide would be coming down here all the time. The rich people of Charleston, they're not going to put up with that. If you've been down to the Battery or any other neighborhood down here, you've noticed the houses are skinny in the front and go long back. There's a couple of reasons for that. First reason, to keep the smell of low tide out. We have piazzas here. It's basically a front porch with a door. So to keep that door shut, the smell of low tide doesn't come into the house because it keeps the lower window shut as well. They open up the second story window, the cool air from the breeze of the water comes in, cool air drops, heat rises. It's old school air conditioning. The second reason is because you were taxed on how much street side you took. So if your house is skinny, less taxes. We just talked about the Pinckney Mansion site where I showed you a picture where it was broad against East Bay Street. Again, the Pinckneys had money. They didn't care. They're going to do those bragging rights to show off their beautiful home and pay the taxes. Not to mention they probably weren't paying that much because they were politicians to begin with. No offense, but they're all damn crooked, right, George? Sorry, he's a political science major. I'm just going to reveal that right now. You shouldn't have told me. Sorry. Point him out all night long. Before people lived here, there was actually a Masonic lodge here from the Freemasons, which is why it has the name Lodge Alley. So what you guys are leaning on is Lodge Alley Inn. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons on the spirit boxes, including the term Illuminati. I got it 6 times last year. First off, who the hell is saying the word Illuminati on the radio? Second, why am I only hearing it in this space? Again, I've already had it twice this year and 6 times last year. So again, I keep track of this stuff, guys. It's weird stuff. I have to. This is a very interesting space. Again, I'm not expecting a whole lot to come out of it. That's why I'm kind of not staggering like I normally would. But I will tell you what's going to happen through the rest of the night. We're going to be going to another alley. However, I cannot take you all the way through it. Why? Because I've been kicked out. Yeah, that's the fun part of the story. The end of that is considered residential. So I will tell you that story once we are there. But I still tell the story over there because that kind of goes over there. It's just it's always stirring. So the more we talk about it, obviously the more things we're going to get. We will probably get clues to that alley story through the rest of our time together because we're going to be relatively close to it for the remainder of our time. We're not going to do another 3-block walk and kind of doing that kind of thing. We are going to be cutting through a neighborhood. So once we exit the alley, both videos will need to be cut off because we don't obviously record in neighborhoods. Spirit boxes, I definitely want you guys listening in. Steve, you're still kind of out of the game for a little bit. I do have to write down that 8.4. Is that what you got earlier? That's actually pretty high. Yeah, I want to say it was 4. That's actually pretty high for this location. I do expect like a 4 to 6 from either building, just because the walls are so thick. But you got an 8. As weird as we actually, I normally don't expect any readings right here other than those 4 to 6s. 2 nights ago we had a 14, and the night before that we had another 30. Almost like a 30, 24, 26, something in those lines. Like I was very like, that's one of the times. So maybe things are stirring up again. Maybe something else is going to happen. Where I get different names that start popping up through these spirit boxes. There is no Nick or Nicholas that lives in this alley. But I'm not surprised if my name shows up pretty much all over town, no matter where I go, because I'm not here every single night. It's not like they don't know I'm coming. So it happens that way. The last stop we go to, however, there are 3 different Nicholases in that corner, me being one of them. So 2 other Nicholases in history actually stir up my name over there quite a bit. So we'll kind of see if my name shows up again. Just want to make sure you're still rotating. It's good. So definitely keep listening in. We're going to cut those videos off as we exit. So let's get out of this dead space and go into something a little bit more violent. It's just not fair because remember the tours go all the way up to 20. So if there's 2 other tours down there halfway down the alley, it's not fair to them or us for my 10 to try to navigate around 20 to 40 because we want to explore the space. So again, I'd tell the story out here. It's crazy stuff because we're going to hear stuff from this story for the rest of the night. We end right at the next corner, just so you know, because there's a couple more spots up in there. But anyway, this is Philadelphia Alley. It's easy for me to remember because that's where Eliza Pinckney's buried. But it's called Dueler's Alley back in the day, and we named it Philadelphia Alley after dueling became illegal and stupid. So we all tell the story of one duel because we can actually prove that it happened. So let's get into this story. I'll slow down on the key words for y'all. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. So he moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this. We're going to be a little bit more discreet with people walking by.
Hit it now.
Yeah, you're just going to basically, there you go, perfect. So, where was I? Oh, the attorney. The attorney thinks the doctor's just after her cash. So he tells her to get rid of the doctor. So to prove that he's not just after her money, he actually moves down to Charleston. So the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs. We're going to stop on Ralph for a second because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Y'all are ghost hunting. I don't just tell ghost stories. So Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. R.I. shows up here all the time. But which main character does it belong to? That's where I need the secondary clue from y'all. That's where it comes from when I'm going through the devices. But when R.I. shows up, I'm pretty excited. Sometimes we'll just get the letter R. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells Dr. Ladd, you don't want to stay here, dude. He didn't say dude because this is 1700s. But he said, he's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you and take all your cash. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. That's right up the road. That's the next corner. You can rent a room from them and you'll be safe. So the doctor takes him up on the offer and Ralph and Dr. Ladd become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now. Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city any of you will ever visit in the future.
No, rat.
Is it a rat?
I mean,
I did too.
I was looking for a ghost. I'm sorry.
Near DC.
He's going to show up on your camera now. So, every haunted city you guys will ever visit in the future has the cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor, just roll with it. So, I bring that up on purpose because it is very cliche. But anyway, Ralph and the doctor go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy works. On the way home one night after seeing William III from Shakespeare, they're arguing over the new actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic, Ralph not so much. Ralph then starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They obviously get very heated with each other, it gets ugly, and they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Not a very cool move, but he does it anyway. The doctor sees the ad, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this, meaning somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove the point that he had the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. But Ralph, he has his one shot. Sorry, Jimmy. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off and he's not willing to forgive. The doctor falls to the ground, but his friends pick him back up and they carry him back home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So, they say, as you walk through this alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. If you go down there without me, tour guide, and turn on your voice recorders, listen to the recording later. I want you to keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley every single time. I do it every single night on my way back to my garage. It's right above the Scotchman over there. We end right there. I have to pass the alley to get to my car. When my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to get to the alley first and kind of make a fun thing about it, but she doesn't realize that I can whistle while I'm talking, so she doesn't realize as I keep talking really fast that I'm going to whistle anyway. So anyway, that's the whole ghost story that goes on down here. They also say you can hear gunshots, but I don't have any proof of that. When I used to take my tours all the way through, I do have some I can't debunk, so take that for what it's worth. I will tell you that there are certain songs that have whistling in them that like to show up while we are standing here. So just so you guys know, there's a couple of them. I can't think of them all. Guns N' Roses, Patience has that whistling in it. That shows up here all the time. And that Maroon 5 song, I don't know the name of it, but it has that whistling that goes along with that. I don't know the name of that song either. So, again, take that for what it is. But let's get into the fun stuff of how I got booted out of here. Right, Lisa? She's like, yeah, that sounds like fun. So, this alley didn't always come all the way through. So, I used to show off the bricks on the other side because they're older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's one full handprint and fingerprint swipes from those slave children, basically turning those bricks, keeping them baked in the sun. The handprint is something to see for yourself, for sure. However, it is at the end of the alley, and it used to be everybody wanted to put a spirit box or some kind of camera or an EMF or something nearby. And I always tell people we gotta keep moving because this is somebody's house right over here. Well, one night, November 26th of 2020, yes, I remember the date. You're gonna realize why here in a moment. The gentleman caught my entire team of 10 staring at that brick right outside his dining room window. He was not happy with me. I got a phone, well, the next day was Thanksgiving. So that was November 27th. That's the reason why I remember it. The day after that, I had another tour fully booked, because obviously I didn't work on Thanksgiving. November 28th, I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway like everybody else or reroute. I decide, my tickets are pretty cheap, I'm still learning this rope of tourism, I'm gonna reroute and see what happens. I tell my group of 10, we're good to go. That's the second time that guy's done that.
Yeah. After he came through a while ago, a rat came by.
Great. He's leaving rats. It's running on rats. They're getting tired of the wheel. So, at any rate, so I decided I'm going to reroute, and before I tell anybody what we're going to be discussing at the next stop, somebody hears the name Anne. I didn't even tell them we're going to be discussing female pirate Anne Bonny. We get there, tell what I do know, which was very little at the time. Somebody else hears the number 300. I have no idea what the hell the number 300 means, but again, that's why I love to research. Turns out we were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. So I've been back there every night ever since, and I will tell you that our last stop is a hit or miss. We either get a lot or we get nothing. I hate to end a tour that way, but you guys learned a shit ton about devices that you will never probably handle again. Not to mention, you've heard some really weird stuff come out of me. So here's what's going to happen from here. We're going to go up and around the corner to St. Philip's Cemetery. You guys are going to continue listening to your spirit boxes. Those of you recording video, continue to do so if you'd like. I'm good with that because it is a very popular area. Spirit boxes, I want you to tell me what you hear along the way, and we'll kind of see, there's like 15 stories on that corner, and this is where I let the evidence kind of steer me in the right direction. If you don't give me anything that's relevant to any other story I'm going to already tell, I will tell the 2 stories to get us prepped for the pirate story at the very end. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I like the evidence, take us somewhere it may lead to a different spot. So let's keep rolling. What do you think? You've been pretty quiet tonight, man.
Back there?
Heard it again.
Here?
Yeah. Doctor, right here. Doctor.
Really?
Yes.
Just a moment before you guys have to have a seat. Because yes, you came here to work. I'm going to give you a break because I'm a great employer. That's the wall over there. Did you hear something?
I did. Before we turned the corner,
Yeah.
I heard gun. As we were coming across the crosswalk, I heard it again. And when we passed that door right there,
Yeah.
I heard doctor.
Can't make this stuff up, guys. Hopefully it'll be on the audio. Were you still recording?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Good stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump right into it.
So we can stop recording now.
You can if you want to, because you're going to have a seat for a few minutes. But this wall over this courtyard, that's the wall to Philadelphia Alley we were just discussing. There's a gate right in the middle of it. So between this space and the cemetery across the street, after I give you the history of this location, both cameras can explore either way. If they want to exit the lot to go to the front of the powder magazine, you can, or you can go across the street to St. Philip's. Just don't interrupt the other tours. That's kind of, the rule of thumb. Just wait your turn. They have no idea what the hell we're doing. Not to mention, they're going to tell their story and move on anyway. So let's get into ours. We're going to be discussing the little building right here with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. Do you guys all know what earthquake bolts are? Sorry, this is a whopper of a story. I got to get some water. Earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can turn those turnbuckles and it'll straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The reason I bring these up is because it's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because the time frame of this building being built is the same time frame as Anne Bonny's time in Charleston. It's kind of like using this as what I call a familiar. It's like using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's the same type of principle. There's not many buildings in Charleston this old. Notice I said it was the oldest government building, not the oldest building itself. So we talked about the Charlestown walls earlier as well. Where that garage sits is where the wall came up. So it literally was going up past the powder magazine and then went south towards the battery. It literally locked the powder magazine into the corners of the walls on purpose. It's fortified. It's the furthest way that they can get away from the water 3 blocks away in case a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship comes up and decides to launch a cannon at it. Those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. It's holding gunpowder. They got to protect it. But we're going to pretend that that cannonball goes all the way through, blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof from the early 1700s that's supposed to go up with the explosion of the gunpowder and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea that doesn't work. That sand is still there because sand does not disintegrate. The reason we know that that idea doesn't work is because we had another magazine closer to the tip of the peninsula. It did get attacked, blew up, sand in the air, building fell and burned to the ground. It just doesn't exist. This one's never been attacked, even though it served in 7 different wars, including the Civil War. That was its last servant. It's a museum now, so if you ever need to get out of our heat or cold, it's a good $5 to spend. I'm not an advocate, but I do love this building. Anyway, this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? I'm going to answer for you. Yes, it does. So, 1703 to 1713 is the time it took to make this building. They land in Georgetown, just north of here. Dad buys a plantation, Mom dies pretty quickly. So that leaves young Anne to come down here to Charlestown to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat for her and Dad. Young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. Sorry, Lizzie, you just happened to be next to me. I killed Jimmy earlier, didn't I? Yeah, I got you both tonight so with the gunshot wound. So anyway, kind of keep that in mind. She was only like 10 or 12 years old, and that was a servant she killed. So just kind of keep that mentality as we go through the rest of this story. So we're going to fast forward. The building's done in 1713. In 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love pretty quickly. Guy number 1. I'm going to keep tally. Guy number 1 turns out to be James Bonny. You guys all see where this is going, don't you? Dad doesn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, their most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. When they get down there, this is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking kind of guy that she was hoping for. This is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. In her eyes, he's a coward. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Didn't you hear the name Jack earlier? Yeah, that's it. So, Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. So, you cannot put a girl on a pirate crew. Girls curse pirate ships. I don't know what's with my tour and girls and curses, just happens to be that way. So, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you could be part of the crew and be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's the way it's going to roll. She's okay with this because Dad used to hide her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's already okay with it. Let's do it. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out. Right? So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later. We'll figure it out later. So she does this. And while she's gone, Captain Jack captures another pirate crew. But Anne returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender, and this makes Jack pretty mad. She's going to go flirting with that pirate crew he captured, guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like guys, doing the exact same thing, trying to be pirates on the same ship. That's kind of uncanny all on its own. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain, and Mary becomes part of the crew. The British find out where they are, and they send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Well, Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks against an entire fleet of ships. Obviously, they're going to get taken and arrested. As they're being arrested by the British, Anne looks at her bow and captain, Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So the word dog is obviously a prominent key word here. The judge, after he's tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't come up and fight, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly by themselves. The 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care. They're still pirates, he's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720, it is illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's guy number 4, but husband number 2, because she never married anybody else besides James Bonney. Has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. I know, all of my stories end in death. How about that? Mary Reed dies a year later, 1721, from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. You can use your imagination on that one, because I'm sure it was scurrilous and gross. I don't want to think about it tonight. So, make up your own thing. I did leave 2 things out on purpose. I'm not going to give you a whole list of questions like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site. I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship, and I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. So that way you guys can do whatever you want to as far as questions. Ask whatever you want to. It's fair game. You want to know what happened to the baby? Try to find out. I can't prove it, but at least it'll be fun to try to find out. As far as the names of the kids, I have no idea. What state did she actually end up in? I don't know. Some states say Virginia, some say West Virginia, some say South Carolina. We don't know for certain. We really have no idea what happened. I've read probably 15 books on this woman alone, and none of them add up. I did tell you at the beginning of this tour that people have passed out on this tour. I'm going to take another minute of your time before we spread out with your devices, because this story actually makes sense to the story. Back in September, nice cool night, just like this, probably around the same temperature. Bring my group back here, probably a group of 8 or 9 people, just on this back wall. And I come back here first because the other tours like to cut through and talk about the Powder Magazine and touristy stuff with St. Philip's. But anyway, the kid next to me goes white as a ghost, pun intended. I have to pick him up by his armpit to pick him, so he doesn't hit his head on the ground. His boyfriend picks him up on the other side of him, and we carry him over to that brick wall, which is where we're going to end. I'm going to head that way once we all scatter. And sit him down on the little stoop over there. I send the boyfriend over with a couple of dollars to the vending machine to get him a bottle of water. He comes back, dude's feeling better. I then tell the story. It's important to know when I told it. You're looking at me like, what the hell's the point of this? It's going to make sense real quick. I send everybody out to go scatter with their devices. They pull me aside. We have to tell you something. What's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as men, just like Anne and Mary on my tour. I'm a good writer, but I can't make this shit up. I seriously can't. Made complete sense to them is why one of them actually about passed out as soon as they entered the space. So, take that for what it's worth. They're perfectly fine with being part of my tour every night. I think they even left part of their story in their review on TripAdvisor, which I was like, okay. But it is what it is. So, again, can't make this stuff up. That's part of the reason why I give that heated warning every single night. And again, I've been doing this for 3 years, and within the first 3 months, I had somebody pass out, and then they later told me that they practiced witchcraft. They did not make it past the Pinckney Mansion site. I had to call paramedics for them. So that wouldn't be the first or the last time. But it was the first time I went into the CPR classes to learn CPR the next day because I'm like, oh shit, what the hell did I get myself into? We are going to spread out. Before we do so, Lynn, what do we have going on with your word list? You kind of look surprised there for a moment.
This is some weird sequence. Entitled, validity, firm, Kyra, allow, reverend, frown, Matthew, intimate, day, sudden, acquisition. I had for the longest time.
Yeah, I think we were across the street still.
Yeah.
The word reverend is the only one that's sticking out to me. We get a lot of religious terms because we're next to St. Philip's. We're actually on St. Philip's property right now. So, again, we do get a lot of religious terms, especially on your spirit box, just around this area. They're going to come up all the time. So, Bible shows up, Jesus, all of those religious Christianity type things. But again, those of you with cameras, if you want to get to the front of the powder magazine, you have to exit the lot and make a left. We are going to use your motion sensor here, so that's a little white button in the back. I want to see what goes on. This is normally not a space just like Lodge Alley for EMF, so if you get something, I'm excited. The closer you get to the bushes towards behind you, the more of a reading you're going to get because of the parking meters on the sidewalks. So again, mid to the back is if we get anything, I'll be excited. But yeah, I'm going to go head over to the wall and go vape and let you guys do your
So
thing.
go out the corner and come back down the other side of the
No,
bushes.
you can go right over here past that little hut over there.
Okay. Air conditioned, hottest thing in the world. You're getting a lot of stuff there.
What was the name of the Jack show?
Yeah.
the second time I heard red.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. I think it's fine, but I wasn't listening to it.
Okay, come on.
He said, I like it.
I had over there and over there, I heard it said Reddit, and then as I was walking back, it just said red. And then over there at the cemetery, I heard the number 3.